They said I died at 3:17 a.m. That's what the clock on the wall said, and clocks don't lie. I remember the way the room sounded right before it happened. Machines humming low, rain tapping gently on the hospital window, and the faint sound of my nurse, Clara, whispering a prayer under her breath. My chest was heavy. Every breath came slower than the last. It felt like trying to breathe through water. And deep down, I knew this might be the night. I had spent months in that small, pale room. The chemo, the surgeries, the endless nights of pain. They had taken everything. My strength, my appetite, my hair, even my laughter. But that night felt different. The air was too still, like the world itself was waiting for something. Clara came in around 3 o'clock. She tucked the blanket around me, smiled softly, and said, "Try to rest, Miss Ruth. The doctor will check on you in the morning." I nodded, but my eyes drifted to the photo beside my bed. It was Elijah, my son, and his little girl, Layla. They were the reason I kept fighting, even when I wanted to stop. Layla's smile could light up any darkness. I whispered her name under my breath, then whispered another, "Lord." At 3:15, the machine started to slow. I could hear my heartbeat, faint and uneven, like a drum losing its rhythm. And then, it stopped. There was a rush of voices, footsteps, hands on my chest. "Miss Ruth, Miss Ruth, can you hear me?" But I couldn't answer. I was standing somewhere else. The hospital bed was below me. Clara was crying. The doctor shaking his head. He looked at the clock and said, "Time of death, 3:17 a.m. And just like that, the world went quiet. I waited for fear, for pain, but none came. There was only peace, warm, weightless peace, like someone had taken every burden I'd ever carried and set it down beside me. And in that peace, I heard something. A song, soft, beautiful, and achingly familiar. Amazing Grace. It was my mother's voice. She'd been gone for over 40 years. "Mama," I whispered. She smiled. "Yes, baby. But you can't stay yet." Before I could speak, the world filled with light, so bright I had to close my eyes. And when I opened them again, I was no longer in heaven. I was in the cold room, the morgue. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to thank you, sweetheart, for listening to my story so far. If you're new here, please subscribe. Stay with me till the very end. Because what happened after they covered my face with that white sheet will make you believe in things science can't explain. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt something you couldn't explain? When I opened my eyes again, everything was cold. Not the kind of cold that comes from air conditioning or winter wind. No. This cold had a silence to it. A silence that made you feel like the world had stopped breathing. The walls were white, the lights dim. There was a hum somewhere nearby, steady, low, like a freezer. It took me a moment to understand where I was. The morgue. 2 men were their attendants. They were talking softly, their voices echoing in the emptiness. One of them said, "Such a shame." She looked peaceful though. The other sighed. Another lonely soul. They didn't know I could hear them. They didn't know I was still here. Not quite alive, not quite gone. They covered me completely, the sheet over my face. And then they wheeled me into the cold room. The sound of the metal door closing was the loneliest sound I've ever heard. For a while, I just lay there, still, listening to the hum of the machines. The world felt far away, no pain, no breath, no heartbeat. And then, I heard something. At first I thought I was imagining it. A whisper, soft and low. Then it came again. "Ruth." My name, clear as day. It was my mother's voice. "Mama," I whispered. Or maybe I only thought I did. She was standing at the foot of the table, bathed in soft golden light. Her hair was the same as I remembered, pulled back neatly. Her smile, gentle but firm. "It's not your time, baby," she said. Her voice carried warmth, the kind of warmth no cold room could hold. Tears filled my eyes. "Mama, I'm tired. I don't want to fight anymore." She stepped closer, reaching out her hand, glowing softly, like sunlight breaking through clouds. "I know you're tired," she said, "but someone still needs you. You can't leave yet." Her hand rested on my chest, right where my heart used to beat. And suddenly, I felt it. One soft thump. Then another. And another. The cold air turned warm. The lights blurred. And before I knew it, I gasped. The sound filled the room. Somewhere outside, an alarm blinked. Footsteps. Shouting. The door burst open. "She's breathing." Someone cried. Hands rushed over me. The sheet ripped away. Voices trembling between disbelief and awe. My doctor's face went pale. He whispered under his breath, "That's impossible." But I was there, breathing, alive. The clock on the wall read 3:24 a.m. 7 minutes after the time they said I died. The next thing I remember was the sound of my own breathing, shaky, uneven, but real. The nurse's hands were trembling as she held my wrist. She's got a pulse," she whispered. The doctor just stared at me. He'd been the one who called my time of death. He'd been the one who told my son, Elijah, that his mama was gone. I could see it in his eyes, confusion, fear, and something else. "Miss Ruth," he said softly, leaning closer, "can you hear me?" I tried to answer, but no words came out. Only tears. Hot tears sliding down my cold cheeks. They rushed me out of the morgue and back into a hospital room. Lights flashed, monitors beeped, sounds I never thought I'd hear again. Hours passed before Elijah came. When he walked in, I almost didn't recognize him at first. His face was pale, his eyes red from crying. He froze in the doorway, like he was afraid I'd disappear if he blinked. "Mom?" His voice cracked. "Mom, they told me you were gone." I smiled weakly. "They told me that too." He ran to me, dropped to his knees beside the bed, and took my hand in both of his. His hands were warm, trembling, just like when he was little and scared of thunderstorms. "I saw the sheet, Mom," he said through sobs. "I saw them cover you." How are you?" "I don't know," I whispered, "but I think I was sent back." He shook his head, not understanding. "Sent back?" I looked toward the ceiling, to that invisible place where I'd heard my mother's voice. "Elijah," I said softly, "do you remember the night you called me from your car? When you said you couldn't do it anymore? That you wanted to give up?" He nodded slowly, his eyes wet. "I remember." I squeezed his hand weakly. "That night, I prayed. I asked God to take my strength and give it to you. And he did. Every bit of it." Elijah broke down crying again, his head resting on my hand. I could feel his tears soaking through the thin hospital sheet. "You came back for me," he whispered. I nodded. "I think that's why he sent me back. Because you weren't done yet, baby." And neither was I. Outside the room, the nurse Clara stood watching, her hand covering her mouth. She later told me that when my heart started beating again in the morgue, the clock on the wall froze at 3:17, stopped completely. And for a moment, every light in that cold room flickered, like even the machines knew something sacred had happened. I stayed in that hospital for another 2 weeks. The doctors ran every test they could think of. Scans, blood work, heart monitors. They tried to find a reason, any reason, why a woman declared dead could start breathing again on her own. But there wasn't one. Every report said the same thing. Unexplained revival. No medical cause. The doctor, the same one who covered my face with that white sheet, came to visit me every morning. He'd stand by the door, quiet for a while, then finally whisper, "I still don't understand how this happened." And I'd smile and say, "You don't have to, doctor." It wasn't science that brought me back. It was mercy. The night before I went home, Nurse Clara came to check on me. She was holding something in her hands, my cross necklace. She said they found it in the morgue beside the table where I'd been lying. But when she handed it to me, I noticed something strange. It was warm. Almost hot. "Miss Ruth," she said softly, "when I put this in your hand that night, your finger twitched. That was the first time I saw life come back." I looked at that small golden cross, and I felt tears run down my face. Because that was the same necklace my mother gave me the day she passed. The same necklace I was wearing when I heard her voice call my name. Before Clara left, she asked me a question. "Do you remember what it felt like, being gone?" I thought for a long time. Then I said, "It felt like coming home." But I wasn't supposed to stay. When I finally walked out of that hospital, the air felt different. Brighter, alive. Every sound, the birds, the traffic, even the wind, it all sounded like a song I hadn't heard in years. At home, Elijah couldn't stop hovering over me. He'd bring me tea, cover me in blankets, check my pulse like a nervous doctor. And every night, before he went to bed, he'd kiss my forehead and whisper, "I'm glad you came back, Mom." One evening, I sat by the window, watching the sun dip below the trees. The light touched everything gold, just like the light I saw that night. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you for one more day." Because that's all we're really promised. One more day. And maybe that's what I came back to say. That every sunrise is a second chance. Every breath is a gift. And no matter how dark the room gets, the light always finds its way in. Thank you for sitting with me through my story. If you're still here, listening, it means something in your heart needed to hear this. Maybe you've lost someone. Maybe you've been told there's no hope left. Or maybe, like me, you've felt that cold silence. That moment when everything seems finished, but I'm living proof. It's never really over. Not when faith still breathes in you. Not when love still calls your name. So before you go, take a second. Look around. Breathe. That heartbeat you feel right now, that's purpose. That's mercy. That's proof that you're still meant to be here. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe, my dear. Stay with us. Because there are so many stories like mine. Stories of faith, of grace, of impossible moments that only heaven could explain. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever seen something you couldn't explain? Something that made you believe there's more to life than what we see? Until next time, this is Ruth, and I just want you to remember. Miracles still happen.